comes to the TV show Captain Fall, I'm going to be completely honest, it is slow but very entertaining. I think the show can be funny from the dialogue perspective, but most importantly the graphic imagery. It can be also funny with the awkward humour. It is, to me, a hit and miss scenario, but when it does hit, it is quite enjoyable. The graphic imagery in this programme took me by surprise, as it was something I wasn't quite expecting. And from episode 2 onwards, they amplify all the weird and violence of this show up until the very end. To me, what was the main hook was the plot, as it is about Jonathan Fall, who comes from this quite privileged family, and he wants to do his family proud and become a captain. He gets an opportunity of a lifetime, but unbeknownst to him, he is being used as a scapegoat by the crew for illegal activities. And that's what's really hooking, as we see the crew and all the activities they get up to behind the captain's back, from human trafficking to brokering deals with warlords to selling drugs and other paraphernalia. For me, again, another great thing about this show is after the first 2 episodes, we start to focus on random characters, which you really do think is just a random. There's no real connection between these characters and, say, Jonathan Fall and the crew of the ship. But as the episode progresses, or as these episodes progress, you start to notice the connections, and it's really quite unique and an interesting hook to the show. Another thing about the plot is it's very unpredictable as the show goes along, which I really thought was quite a clever thing from the writers. I think they did a great job. Throughout the show there's a lot of open plots, which again you have no understanding of where the connection is. It's only until the show progresses you start to connect the dots with these open plots and see where the connection is. And it's really quite a fascinating thing to see on this show. When it comes to the ending, I have to be completely honest, I felt disappointed. From one perspective, we see the relationship of 2 characters in a previous episode, that being Lisa and Jonathan, really starting to connect with one another, and this is somewhat taken away in the final episode, as Lisa is pissed off at Jonathan as she wanted to get some sexual action, but because she's put him under the ruse that they're in a relationship, he makes her go on a date with him. And I just find it disappointing they somewhat stripped away all the great chemistry and development they had from the previous episode, only to somewhat pull the blanket on it on the next. Yeah, to me that was disappointing. And what was more disappointing was the finale of the last episode, as we get this cool confrontation between Agent Steele and Jonathan, but it doesn't really go anywhere apart from accusations which really confuse Jonathan, but there was no real truth revealed to Jonathan, which was something I was really hoping to see, but sadly I didn't. Now, when it comes to this show, there are quite a lot of criticisms. Firstly, the actual first episode of this show is quite a bore. I did not find it that remotely funny or really hooking. It's only into the last 3 minutes that it actually becomes enticing. To me, certain moments in episodes felt never ending and really dragged the episode along and really made binge watching it quite a difficult task. Even though I did praise it, I found that they mainly focused on random characters to an extent as a way to not develop the main character, that being Jonathan, and I just think it was kind of a lazy idea to not focus a bit more on him, as he is advertised as the main protagonist, but he doesn't appear in quite a few episodes. Either he is passed out or he is not present at all. Now, my main gripe of this show is its bland animation style, which is quite disappointing and shocking as it comes from Netflix. And if you're comparing it to its contemporaries or even its peers, Agent Elvis, for example, came out this year and it looks so much better on a visual aspect. Even going back a few years on older shows such as F is for Family, BoJack Horseman, they look much better and there's a little bit of creative flair to it, whilst this animation style feels stripped down, and if anything they trimmed the creative edges of setting it apart from other animated shows. I don't know why they did this. It was a major factor for me when watching this show. Now, overall, I think the plot and the graphic imagery really is the eye candy for the show, but that is all, as I feel the humour and the visuals are definitely what lack in the show. But while saying that, I do look forward to the second half or the second series of this show. Is it good? I'd say it's okay. There's room for improvement. Rating wise, I would say it's a 6 out of 10, but here's the main thing. Would I rewatch it? Not likely. There are a few good episodes out of this show that I would watch, but as a binge watching experience, I definitely wouldn't do it. When it comes to recommendations, like I have said, there are plenty of great Netflix original animated shows on here. Starting with Agent Elvis, which came out recently, definitely think it's much superior on a visual aspect, but also when it comes to the graphic imagery. I would say BoJack Horseman, again with the humour, but also as I feel like whilst the main characters are very interesting, it's the side characters that are the more hooking and interesting characters throughout the show. BoJack and Captain Fool both have this. Next, I would say F is for Family. Definitely a better show on the comedy aspect, but at the same time, F is for Family is my favourite Netflix original cartoon of all time. Definitely recommend. And lastly, I would say the TV show South Park, as like Jonathan Fool and like the children, they're very gullible and are blatantly ignorant to what's happening around them, and that's not just the children, that is also the adults of the show as well. Those are my recommendations. This has been my review for the TV show Captain Fool. Thank you for watching. If you did enjoy, please like and subscribe, but most importantly, thank you and have a nice day.